Good morning. It's Saturday, the 2nd of March. I missed recording yesterday, as I had missed some other days earlier in the week. And now it's becoming a pattern, isn't it? Just a bad pattern. um, I'm actually not worried because I wrote a really good session this morning. I'm on track. I know what I'm doing. So some of the obsessiveness at the daily tasks, while I don't really want it to fade, it's not bad if it ebbs a little bit. It's I'm keeping on task. I'm doing well. So no hard feelings. I I finished a good component this morning, a long one again, like 1,000 word plus component, but it felt right, and it's interesting. I think the best way of talking about how I feel about what I've just written, which the content of it is good. I mean, it's right for what it is in the book. Some of the psychology behind it's a little bit hard to track, perhaps, but I think it's okay. Some of the poetics maybe dip a little far, but I think I do what I need them to do, and then I bring it back a bit. Again, editing and stuff will take care of it later, but that's not really what I'm interested in thinking about at the moment. The thing that I'm interested in is how it felt to arrange the words in the way that I have this morning, how it felt to wake up and sit down and write and read and think and be happy with what came out of it at the end, which I am, as much as I think you ever can be. Um, and it feels good. It feels. I mean, I've been. I guess I've been thinking about the way that these sorts of things that I'm writing might be received if anyone were to read them in the future, because we're now 70 something pages into the book. And I think, well, how many people ever make it 70 pages into maybe a book like this? And I guess I think of people like me who would find their way 70 plus pages into a book like this. Um, just this morning, I was having a read through some of the autobiographical writings of Hermann Hesse, particularly one of his stories, A Day at the Spa. Uh, sorry, A Guest at the Spa, which I was thinking about because some of the content that I'm writing touches upon a wellness retreat in my book. And I was thinking about Magic Mountain, Thomas Mann, and then I was thinking about this Day at the Spa, Guest at the Spa. I was reading a few pages as well of the of Border Districts by Gerald Manane that I picked up yesterday from the bookshop. And I was thinking just how lovely it was to read these words that Hess wrote in this book of his, of autobiographical writings. And I mean, I mean, on one hand, I'm playing it off as quite obscure. I think how many people this year and the past 10 years have sat down to read that that story of his, these rather small printed words in this old Picador 1970s printing of this book. I don't know if it's had recent reprints or where people might get their hands on it now. Certainly be available in electronic format. I mean, Hess won a Nobel Prize for literature, so it's not like he's gone unread by any stretch. But I just think about what he might have thought about some of the words that he was putting down at that time. Certainly, he was trying to explain things to himself and trying to organize the sentences and the words to explain it in the best way that he could. But I think just through the act of doing it is is the consolation that it's seeking, and it's tricky for me to. I mean, I have been thinking that way more and more lately. That I mean, I think of that Truman Capote quote, or not that he came up with it. I forget this. The sister within the church who I think framed the original quote, and then he used it in his book, his last book. What's the? I mean, I can't even think of the quote now, but it's also part of the name of the book, isn't it? About um, what's it called? Unanswered prayers or answered prayers. That's right. And the quote is, something more tears are shed over answered prayers than unanswered prayers. I think that's really wonderful. I mean, I think there's a Mark Twain quote that goes similar in terms of well, what's his bit more comical, I think. The two worst things that can happen to someone is to not achieve their dream and to achieve their dreams. Um, and I think there is something to be said for not putting all of your eggs in the basket of thinking once this book is finished, once it's published, if it's published, I could certainly do it myself if no one else wanted to. Um, that's when it's going to feel good, and I think we know that's not true. It certainly feels something. It feels like a cadence of some sort, end of the end of a sentence, the end of a piece of music. But then you look forward to the next one, and you move on to the next. And I think, why not throw out another quote? One of the best sentences that Samuel Beckett wrote, where he said, "Never have I been on my way anywhere, but simply on my way." And I think that's more and more how I'm thinking about writing. The enjoyment of getting up early in the morning, sitting in front of the computer, taking time to read a little, to sit here and to read and to think, and to go back to my computer and to write and to organize words into sentences, for the thoughts to be arranged within there, to look at it later and think that is a unique collection of words, a unique collection of thoughts that reflect what it is that's in my head, that experience of being human. It doesn't need to have any further resolution or consolation to that to be the sort of quality of life that I want it to be, and to enjoy that act of creation. I think I'm always conscious of not downplaying that in terms of thinking, well, it's enough to just create daily routines and acts of creation that don't ever try to attain anything like, a wonderful finished piece of art. It's enough to just, say, blog daily, or to do something on a daily basis, like these films where you think, well, I'm doing something each day, and that's its own reward. I think that is partially true, but I also think you've got to have the highest of goals in mind for that. It's not just about a self-sustaining activity that's its own reward. At the end of it, I want this book to be the best the best written, the best possible composition of words and ideas that I'm capable of doing at this time in my life with the time afforded to me each day and the circumstances present. Um, Anything less than that, to turn it into just some daily entertainment in which to put things down that are experimental and fascinating to me, but not something that will ever, um, earn the patience of someone to read, I think is the wrong way to go about it. I think, like everything, it's a balance, and there needs to be enough personal exploration and entertainment to satisfy me on a very personal level, but then it's got to be a dialogue. It needs to be something that is able to be shared and received and understood, and for it not just to exist within a vacuum of this room. Um, so I guess there's a lot there to consider. Always these competing poles, just like Herman Hesse would have liked. Um, on the one hand, it's not about the destination, it's just about the enjoyment of doing it each day and not looking forward to that. Hey, the book's finished. Hey, it's out. Hey, all this is being received in a very particular way. Rather than that, it's about waking up early. It's about writing and reading and thinking and arranging things and enjoying the daily craft of that. But on the other hand, it can't just remain a self driven, self exploratory, experimental act that only happens inside of this space. It needs to be a dialogue that's shared with others and hopefully to be enjoyed by others, and then to learn and to have feedback from that then goes on to create other things. So that's the sort of morning it's been. um, that's that's a summary of the 1,000 words, perhaps, that I've just written, or at least maybe what I should write later at some point. Um, that's it. I'll sign off there. You can see it's a lovely sunny day. I'm going to make the most of it. I hope you have a nice day too, and I will see you tomorrow morning. If I don't slacken off and miss another day of recording, I'll see you then.